Hey there, you want to see how I painted this cute little cow on a mural? Check it out, I'm going to show you step by step. The first step of this process was a unique one. It's something that is rare, and that is to cover up an existing mural. And you can see me right there painting white over this existing mural, and that's a primer because I didn't want the clear coat that was put on that last mural to interfere with the adhesion of my new mural. This isn't something that I love doing, mostly because another artist spent a lot of time putting together that mural, and this was a guy that I know from Kansas City, JT Daniels. He's a pretty inspiring local muralist. If you're in Kansas City, you've no doubt seen his work. And it doesn't matter whose work it is that you're covering up. It's never fun to cover up another artist's work. It just, you kind of feel guilty about it, or at least I do. But being JT Daniels' work makes it a little bit harder than it would be for just any normal artist's work, because I look up to JT. He's a nice guy. I've had a couple conversations with him, and especially another local artist, it's tough to know that you're erasing some of their previous work. I did notify him beforehand, and I made sure that I got that image to kind of preserve it and archive his past work in case he needs it and he didn't have a photo of it. I don't know, I'm sure he does, but anyway, it's just the name of the game. It's part of the business. I gotta feed myself and pay the bills too, and I think that mural had been up for a while, so hopefully there's no hard feelings. JT, I love you. I'm sorry that I covered up your work. Anyway, you see me stretching here, limbering up before getting started. This is something that I probably should do every single day that I paint, but I don't. But at least I'm doing it now, trying to limber up. You get really stiff when you're painting and moving your body around, particularly in the neck and the shoulders. It gets really stiff. You're holding the brush or the can still while you're making fine movements, climbing up and down ladders and lifts. It's serious business, this mural work. It's very much manual labor. Even though it's creative and expressive and you're doing really unique things to create the artwork and the design process, at the end of the day, installing a mural is absolutely manual labor, and it's tough. It's something that I hope I can do until later stages of my life. Even when I get old, I'd like to still be painting murals, but I imagine there's going to be a point in time where I will have to slow down and maybe only paint 2 or 3 murals a year, because I'm 32 and it already wears me out. You really can only do a mural this size once or twice a month. That's really all that I have time for, because these full-scale murals take at least a week, sometimes 2, and then you gotta recover, and then you gotta have time in between to design the next project. So I found that is kind of the sweet spot. If I could get 2 full-scale murals per month, that's kind of maxing out, and I would like to get that for my workflow, because that would kind of set me up financially for success. Especially if I was able to consistently paint full-scale murals like this throughout the year, or at least 9 months out of the year. And just for the record, that's not where I'm at. I probably paint maybe 12 to 20 murals a year, give or take, and some of those are smaller that I'm able to finish in just a few days, but this mural, I believe, took probably about a week, probably 6 full days, I would say. You saw me prime it, block out the big shapes with latex paint, and now I'm coming in here and filling shapes and doing some kind of detail work with the spray paint. That's kind of the process. We're working back to front, top to bottom, and that's to do the most efficient work. You saw me start out on the scaffold, and that's so that I could work top to bottom. It's better to start out with the toughest parts of the mural, and I would say that that's the top part, the higher up sections. Just climbing up and down that scaffold, like I said, it kind of wears you out, so I try and do those more challenging, awkward parts at the beginning of the mural when I still have the most energy. So, but now I'm on the ground. I'll have to go back up on that scaffold eventually, but you can kind of see in the background I got the top half of that cow done, and I'm kind of just, you know, continuing on working back to front. So I'm trying to lay out these flowers that are below the cow so that I can put the cow's face then over top of the flowers. I don't know if that even makes sense, but anyway, just spraying along. You can kind of tell that there's some water on the wall. I don't know if you can tell, but it's wet. It had been raining, and I probably shouldn't even be painting right now, but that's one of the advantages of using aerosol paints is it's a solvent-based paint. It is acrylic paint itself, but it's also a solvent propellant that is used to in these cans. I don't even know if that makes sense scientifically, but I just have found that it does not react to water the same way that latex does. These aerosol paints typically can resist water a little bit better. Like, obviously, if it's downpouring, I don't want to do it because it's going to be running, but I felt like it was okay to continue spraying. So anyway, we are working on the tree deets, the details of the tree here. This is kind of my forte, if you will. My specialty is doing trees, and particularly this bark texture. It's something of just like a formula of making strokes. It's a layering process. So I start with that mid-tone brown, and then I come back and I kind of sculpt in the bark shapes with the shadow color, kind of that navy blue. And then I'll come back either a second pass with that mid-tone darker brown, or I can go straight to this lighter tone that you see me using now, kind of this tan beige color. And then this kind of sets the foundation of the form of that tree bark. And it's just kind of layering it up, layer by layer, adding more light to the form to shape it up and give it that kind of detail. It's a very organic process. You see me just kind of hacking and slashing, and it's maybe a little bit easier to tell with this time lapse how those forms get built slowly, layer by layer. It's somewhat monotonous, and it does take a little bit of time. It's a little tedious, but I think it adds a lot of depth, a lot of nice texture. Not quite realistic texture. I still kind of have that cartoony vibe to my style, but definitely some realistic lighting, some realistic form and textures going on. I'm relying on the Gestalt theory, or however you pronounce that, the Gestalt theory of the sum being greater than, or the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. So no one stroke that you see me adding here is super exquisite or refined. It's kind of, just a big fat cap spray. But when you back up and you see it as a whole, all those little strokes come together and create a greater form and give it some depth and dimension. What the hell is this all about? That is not how flower petals work. We gotta fix that. Another advantage to spray paint, it dries really quick, so if you make a mistake, you can just cover it right back up. And that's what I'm doing here. It ain't perfect, but it's better. Anyway, I saved the best part for last. I like to do this whenever I paint murals to save the money shot, if you will, which I always think is whatever animal or creature is in my paintings, which typically my murals will have an animal or a face of some kind. And I like to save that for the very end because it's the most fun part of the process for me. And it's also, I think, probably one of the more dynamic parts of the images that I create. So I like to save that for last and let it be right before I finish so that the public will see it and have it be in context and it'll kind of all come together at once. So anyway, doing the last details here, painting some bees. And I was pretty proud of how these turned out. I kind of just went straight to the mural. I didn't really sketch them out. I just kind of went straight to painting them with spray paint, and I think it worked out pretty well. Flowers, they were okay. I don't think I'm that great at flowers, but you tell me what you think in the comments below. How do you think I did? Do you have any questions about the process that I didn't answer in this process video? If not, thanks for watching. I appreciate you making it this far. You don't have to like this video, but it does help me out. You don't have to subscribe if you didn't like it, but if you made it this far, I bet you did. And anyway, showing you the final shots here. This is the complete mural at Envirotech in Shawnee, Kansas. It's a heating and cooling company, and this mural is a sentimental mural for them and their family. It's a family-owned business, and it's in honor of the late father of the owner of this business. And I just want to say RIP to that gentleman, and I hope this mural satisfied the desire to memorialize that great man. And what do you think? Here it is. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.